This is VSiN PrimeTime. Live from the Circus Sportsbook in downtown Las Vegas on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Scott Seidenberg back here with you on VSiN PrimeTime. Right here on VSiN, the sports betting network. You can hit me up on Twitter at ScottsOnAir. SCOTTSONAIR as we get ready for puck drop in St. Louis between the Jets and the Blues. A recap of our best bets. We are on the first period over 1.5 and the Blues team total in the first period to go over a half a goal. Puck drop momentarily from St. Louis. About an hour from now, we will begin the game number 6 between the Golden State Warriors and the Houston Rockets from San Francisco. And let's take a look at what the spread movement has been or is currently right now on that game. So let's see. Let's track this right now. We're going to get the update here as this game, let's see. We have the Rockets as the Warriors as a 5.5 point favorite, and the total at 208. So the total's been bet up, and that's been interesting because I do agree with it. I think the total was just too low when it initially opened up, and to see it getting bet up now, that's certainly something that I find, I think that's normal. I did expect that to be bet up here. So we have Warriors minus 5.5. Over 208 for the game, as we'll keep an eye on everything going on as we get closer and closer to the start of that game. In Major League Baseball, we got a couple of things going on right now as we are tracking some games in progress and some games that will start momentarily. In progress right now, I'm sweating out a first 5-inning bet. I did have the Phillies in the first 5 innings against the Arizona Diamondbacks. There's one out in the bottom of the 5th inning, and we are tied at 1. So unless the Phillies score a run here, worst case scenario, I'll get a push out of this, and it'll be null and void. Arizona scoring a run in the top of the 4th inning. Phillies scored in the bottom of the 1st inning, 1 run on a Kyle Schwarber double, scoring Trey Turner, but no score since. In fact, that is only 3 hits allowed by Merrill Kelly. Jesus Luzardo has allowed 7 hits, but he's only given up the 1 run, and there's 2 outs here in the bottom of the 1st inning. So we'll keep an eye on that. The rain delay in Cincinnati looks to be coming to a close, and we are underway in Cincinnati between the Reds and the Nationals with Hunter Green on the mound for the Cincinnati Reds. Bottom of the 1st inning in Pittsburgh, it looks like the same thing here as they were in a delay as well. We'll keep an eye on whether that gets underway shortly. No score between the Royals and the Orioles in the bottom of the 5th inning in Baltimore. Bottom of the 4th inning in New York. The Yankees with they have 2 hits, no runs against the Rays. The Rays have not gotten a hit yet off of Max Fried. Now, if you remember, in the last start for Max Fried, that was the game against Toronto in which he took a no-hitter into the... Oh, no, that was 2 starts ago against Tampa. Excuse me. That was 2 starts ago against Tampa. He took a no-hitter into the 8th inning, and then retroactively, the official scorekeeper in Tampa reversed an error on the first baseman, Paul Goldschmidt, and called it an infield single instead. And so Fried took the mound, essentially thinking he had a no-hitter, only to then look at the scoreboard and see the number 1 under the hit column. He did eventually give up a real hit, and he finished with 7 2/3 innings, only 2 hits allowed, and no runs. But now against this very same Tampa Bay Rays team, he has gone through the first 4 innings without allowing a hit. 4 innings, 3 strikeouts, 2 walks for Max Fried, as he just has this team's number right now. He certainly does. Elsewhere, the Guardians, a 1-0 lead over the Blue Jays. Bottom of the 3rd inning in Toronto. Red Sox and Twins are tied at 1. Bottom of the 3rd inning in Boston. Top of the 4th inning, the A's with a 3-0 lead over the Marlins in Miami. Top of the 4th in Atlanta. Dodgers, a 1-0 lead over the Braves and threatening more as they have 2nd and 3rd with nobody out. Also threatening, top of the 2nd inning in Chicago. The Astros taking on the Bulls. Yeah, that's right. I said that. The White Sox are wearing their brand new City Connect jerseys, which if you haven't seen them yet online, they are the Chicago Bulls, the old Chicago Bulls jerseys, the pinstripe, red and black pinstripe jerseys. I got to be honest, like I wasn't a fan at first, but seeing it on TV, like I kind of am a fan. Like it's just a Bulls jersey. That's all it is. Like it's literally the Bulls jersey, just in a baseball form, which is cool, I guess. It kind of like looks like it's like a slow pitch softball team. That's what it looks like. And it made me think, and I know I've seen some things online here. The Astros do have the bases loaded with 2 outs in the top of the second inning in Chicago. White Sox with a 1-0 lead. But I see a couple of things online where people are using AI to generate what if other teams in baseball like took the jerseys of the other teams in their city, like the other sports, and made baseball jerseys that looked like, the other team's jerseys. Because here we have the White Sox and the Bulls. I mean, the White Sox and Bulls have the same owner, so it makes sense there. But you could see if a team were to do that, if somebody had the same owner and they wanted to copy off of their other teams. It could get creative. But at first I was a hater, but now I kind of am on board here, as it looks like the White Sox do get out of the jam there. So 1-0 Chicago going to the bottom of the second inning there on the south side. Rangers and Mariners are about to get underway in Arlington with Seattle a -125 favorite. We are on the under in this game, under 8.5, because the Texas Rangers are the greatest under team in baseball at home this season. The under 8.5 is juiced at -125. We are A-OK with the juice because the numbers speak for themselves. The Rangers, 15-2 to the under at home this year. And it's not just like 15-2 to the under. They're going under by 2.3 runs per game at home this year. They are averaging 3.59 runs per game at home. The opponents are averaging 2.65 runs per game in Arlington this year. They're pitching well, and they can't hit. So we are on the under, and I do expect Brian Wu to shut them down. Jack Leiter, who's looked a lot better this year after developing a changeup, adding to his repertoire. So I do like the under between the Rangers and the Mariners. That game getting underway shortly. Also getting underway in a couple of minutes, the Mets and Cardinals from St. Louis. Clay Holmes for the Mets, Sonny Gray for the Cardinals. We are on the Mets. Not a main bet, but I do, I like the Mets, so I put a little bit on it there. They're -118. Cubs are at the Brewers. Chicago, -125 road favorite. I do lean Chicago in this matchup with Ben Brown on the mound against Tyler Alexander. And then coming up a little bit later on tonight, Tarek Skubal takes the ball for the Tigers against the Angels and Jose Soriano. Tigers are a -198 favorite, -200. I would go Tigers run line in the first 5 innings because I do expect Skubal to throw a gem here. And the Rockies are at the Giants. Robbie Ray goes for San Francisco. They're -290 against the Rockies. And so Antonio Senzatella goes for Colorado. The Rockies have won 2 straight games, and tonight look to make it 3 in a row. The back-to-back wins for the Rockies, the first time that has happened this season. My first 5 bet between the Phillies and the Diamondbacks is a push as they go to the top of the 6th inning there, tied at 1. So, hey, a push is better than a loss, as they say. We are going to monitor everything going on here as the puck is going to drop in St. Louis between the Jets and the Blues. And then coming up at the top of the hour, we have the Rockets and the Warriors from San Francisco. It is Game 6 of their first round playoff series. And just taking a look at the movement here in the market, we have now the Warriors are down to 5. So it was at 5.5. It is down to 5 here at Circa. It is a juiced 5, though, at -115. So it's about, a little bit over 5, but not as much as 5.5. And Circa has the total at 208, pretty much 208 across the board. If you do like an over, there are a couple of offshore books that have 207.5 if you wanted to get in on the over there. But this opened up at 204.5, opened up at Warriors -3.5. It has been bet up. It went up to 5.5. Now it has been bet back down to Warriors -5, and the total bet up to 208. I'm Scott Seidenberg. This is VSiN PrimeTime. Smarter bets start right here, and they last all year long with VSiN Pro. For a limited time, we're slashing the price of our annual subscription, normally $240, but now just $199. And when you sign up today, we'll throw in 2 extra months for free. That's 14 months of VSiN Pro access for less than 50 cents a day when you use promo code PRO. Promo code PRO. And you can get 14 months of all access to the daily best bets. So you get the VSiN, the best bets from the hosts and the guests, exclusive splits from DraftKings and Circa Sportsbooks, 24/7 live video, full show replays on the VSiN Watch app, plus all of our special edition betting guides like our new Kentucky Derby betting guide. The Derby is tomorrow. Get on this now. Head to vsin.com/subscribe now. Use promo code PRO and lock in 14 months of VSiN Pro for just $199. That's VSIN.com/subscribe. Okay, we are about to get underway. We are underway. The puck has dropped in St. Louis between the Blues and the Jets. We are on the first period, over 1.5, and the Blues to score a goal in the first period. We will know in the next 20 minutes or so if we cash this bet. Well, 20 minutes of game time, not real time, because it's going to take longer with breaks and stuff. But we'll see if we cash these best bets coming up next. I'm Scott Seidenberg, always on Twitter at ScottsOnAir, SCOTTSONAIR. Hit us all on the network at VSiN Live. It's prime time here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is VSiN PrimeTime on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Scott Seidenberg back here on VSiN PrimeTime, here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. We are keeping an eye on this game between the Blues and the Jets. Scoreless through the first 3 minutes of the first period. We have the over 1.5 goals in the first period. We also have the Blues team total over a half a goal in the first period. So let's see some pucks in the net, boys, as we keep an eye on all the action there in St. Louis as the Blues look to stave off elimination and force a Game 7 back in Winnipeg. That game will be on Sunday. We will also have a Game 7. Well, we don't know about also because this might not go 7. But we do know that we have a Game 7 tomorrow night between the Stars and the Avalanche from Dallas. Colorado winning in game number 6 last night, avoiding elimination on home ice. It was a 7-4 victory, a game that, look, I gave out the best bet right here with Tim Murray on VSiN PrimeTime. Colorado minus a goal and a half. I had Colorado in the first period. They won the first period 2-0, and boy, was I sweating this game for just a stupid sweat. Because Colorado, after taking that 2-0 lead into the first period, gave up 4 goals in the second period. But it's not like they were ever down by 2. Like, this was a back-and-forth game between Colorado and Dallas. Every time, Dallas scored to make it 2-2. Colorado then made it 3-2. Dallas then scored 2 to make it 4-3. Colorado ties it in the start of the third, 4-4. They get a fluke goal by Nathan McKinnon to go up 5-4, and the 2 empty netters to make it 7-4 final. Now, speaking of the empty netters, something that we will keep an eye on tonight as we look for our live betting opportunities in this game is, because it is an elimination game, if the team that is going for the end of the series, like in this case, it is the Winnipeg Jets. If the Jets have a lead going into the third period, we will play a live over. Or we might also play a live alternate puck line prop. Not the minus 1.5. We might do a minus 2.5 and chase down some plus money. And it would have worked last night if you did it with the Colorado Avalanche, because they win the game by 3. But the reasoning behind it is because it is an elimination game, you have the opportunity for multiple empty net goals. Now, we didn't see it in the Golden Knights game because they only won by one. They never got the empty netter. We had an empty netter last night in the game between Toronto and Ottawa as they won 4-2. And then we had, same thing, Edmonton and the LA Kings as Edmonton got an empty net goal. And then the multiple empty net goals by the Avalanche last night. When you have an elimination spot, the team that is facing elimination, they're going to pull their goalie and then keep the goalie pulled. Even if they give up one empty netter and there's still time left, they're going to pull it again. And we even saw it last night. There was a chance for another, because I, live on this show yesterday, I took that Toronto alternate puck line at -2.5, thinking, hey, it's plus 300. We're going to have some fun here. They get the one empty net goal. It's 4-2. The net was empty once again. I was hoping for that 5-2 finish. We didn't quite get there as they never got that second empty net goal, but the opportunity is there. You're live. And so we're going to keep an eye on this game tonight to see if we have Winnipeg with a lead late in the game. We'll look for those live totals and look to play maybe an alternate live puck line. Speaking of your live total, it is still at 5.5 right now between the Jets and the Blues. We are scoreless through the first 7 minutes of the first period. Live total is at 5.5, and so we'll see if it adjusts. Obviously, we want goals here. Wouldn't mind a penalty coming up because that would be great if we can get a team to get on the power play. And hopefully it's the Blues for our case because we do have that over a half a goal for the Blues in the first period. Now, we do have second round series that are also set, but before we get to the second round series, I want to tell you about the Game 7 that's coming up tomorrow between the Stars and the Avalanche. Now, the Stars this postseason have been without one of their top goal scorers in Jason Robertson and one of their best defenders, if not their best defender, in Miro Heiskanen. Pete DeBoer, their coach, as that is a goal by the St. Louis Blues. Cash it, boys. Cash it. Over a half a goal for the St. Louis Blues in the first period. One of our best bets has just cashed. Now, in the next 13 minutes, if we can just get one more goal from anybody, we will cash our other best bet at over 1.5. So, once again, the trend comes through. Shout out JD. Jonathan Davis writes the articles on VSiN.com. If you read along, you cash that as well. But this is something that a lot of hockey bettors like myself and people that I associate with and bet with, we've been on this trend for a while. The team that loses, you back them to score first in the next game, or you do the goal in the first 10 minutes with them to score. A lot that goes into it, and it comes home for us as the St. Louis Blues get the first goal of the game and lead 1-0 over the Winnipeg Jets. Now, as I watch here on TV, I'm not sure, are the Jets challenging this goal? Because they haven't dropped the puck yet here, and it looks like they're looking at the iPad to see, or the Jets are looking at the iPad on the bench to see if there was interference. You know something? That's not interference. This would be a bad challenge. I would not challenge this. First off, the defender does hit the St. Louis Blues player kind of into Connor Hellebuck. But at no point, at least I'm watching, did I see Hellebuck with that contact not being able to move. I think that was just a good screen by the player in front. And if anything, it was Hellebuck's own teammate, the defender, that gave the contact there. I believe that was Buchnevich in front, too. I wish that puck would have went off of him. We could have got the Buchnevich goal. Or did he get credit for it? Did it go off of him? No, Philip Broberg gets credit for that goal. Oh, boy, I would love them to replay that and see if it went off of Buchnevich, because that would be awesome for our Buchnevich prop. Anyway, so 1-0 Blues. They do not challenge it. I guess a lengthy discussion as they looked at it on the iPad and they determined no goaltender interference, no challenge by the Blues. So here we are. We got 13 minutes left to go in the first period. We need one more goal to hit our over 1.5. Your live total right now is at 6.5. And live line, Blues -230, Jets at +175. Oh, man, can we get a review and just see if that puck went off of Buchnevich? Let's see. Looking at the replay. Oh, yeah, it didn't go off him. It was clearly a goal by Broberg there. Let's see. Any assists? The assists go to Robert Thomas and Jimmy Snugard. So if you had a Robert Thomas over a half a point, you cashed it with the assist there on the Philip Broberg goal. Okay, Game 7 coming up tomorrow between the Stars and the Avalanche. The Stars, Pete DeBoer announced that they will be without, once again, Miro Heiskanen and Jason Robertson. So there was a belief that maybe, just maybe, because it's a do-or-die Game 7, that those two players would return. But DeBoer announcing today that they will not return. So the Avalanche are a minus 135 favorite on the road. Stars plus 115 on the comeback. Your total is at 5.5. It is juiced to the under. And while you would think, you know what, it's a Game 7, we can go under. With the empty net possibilities, like I can't, it's so hard to bet an under here in these Stanley Cup playoffs. As for this entire series, it should be over right now. Dallas had a 2-1 series lead when they, in the first 3 games, only led for 60 seconds. And yet they had a 2-1 series lead. A bounce of the puck here or there, and Colorado would have already won this series. In fact, if you look at the expected goals in this entire series, and, you know, you go to these advanced analytical sites that track this stuff. If you look at just all situations, or at 5-on-5 situations, so forget about all situations, just 5v5 at even strength, the Avalanche, who have scored 14 goals in this series, and yeah, a couple of them have been empty netters, the Stars have scored 11 goals in this series. The expected goals, Colorado, 17.72. They should have scored 17 to 18 goals in this series, and they've only scored 14. Meanwhile, the Stars, 12 goals, and they've scored 11. So it's been right around what they have done. If you look at Corsi percentage and Fenwick percentage, which dictates the possessions, it is way in favor of the Avalanche. Corsi is 58.81 for the Avalanche compared to 41.19 for the Stars. The Avalanche have dominated this series, and they win Game 7, in my opinion. You want to bet smarter, not louder? Go check out the Sharp Plays at sharpplays.com, where real bettors go to get ahead. Most of the betting world, it's just noise, chasing steam, copying picks, recycling the same old value plays. They're not sharp, they're just parrots. The Sharp Plays is the source they're echoing. Since 2011, it's been locked in with what the real pros are betting: elite groups, sharp money, and the kind of wagers that actually move the market, because when the Sharp Plays jump on a side, the line reacts every time. Sign up for free betting alerts, real-time alerts, and next-level intel via email or on X. Go to sharpplays.com. Why follow the crowd when you can lead it? Sharpplays.com, respected, watched, and feared. That's the Sharp Plays. We'll get into the NBA playoffs coming up next. Mitch Lawrence, SiriusXM NBA Radio, will join me, Scott Seidenberg, right here on VSiN PrimeTime on the Sports Betting Network.
This is VSiN PrimeTime on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Back here on VSiN Primetime, I'm Scott Seidenberg on the Sports Betting Network. We're about a half an hour or so away from tip-off of game number 6 between the Warriors and the Rockets from San Francisco. The market has adjusted slightly. Warriors were a 5.5-point favorite. They are down now to a 5-point favorite, and the total has settled in pretty much across the board at 208. The -5 here at Circa is actually juiced for the Warriors at -115. Joining us now on the Progressive Guest Line to talk about this game and more NBA playoffs. You hear him on SiriusXM NBA Radio and Mad Dog Sports Radio. He's longtime columnist and covering the NBA, Mitch Lawrence. Mitch, thanks so much for joining us here on VSiN. And the first thing I'll ask you about this series and this game coming up tonight is, what are you hearing about Steph Curry's thumb injury? All the criticism from Steve Kerr and the rest of the Warriors about the Rockets targeting that thumb. Is this an issue, or are they blowing this out of proportion a little bit?
No, it's a playoff issue. You know, that's what you would expect it to be, because it's Steph Curry, the greatest shooter we've ever seen, and he's got an injury, and the Warriors are thinking that, expressing that, you know, Dylan Brooks is going after it. I mean, the Warriors conveniently forget, Scott, that they've got a guy on their team, Draymond Green, who would do exactly the same thing if the shoe was on the other foot. If a Rocket had a bad thumb, if Fred VanVleet had a bad thumb, they would be going after him. This is gamesmanship. This is part of the playoffs. This is always what we've seen before. And I don't think it's really going to impact Steph Curry when it comes to a chance to close out the Rockets and advance. I think he'll be up to the task. So I think this is a little bit of much ado about nothing, but everything gets blown out of proportion in the playoffs anyway.
For sure. Looking at, he only played 23 minutes, so there's not much we could take away from the blowout loss in game number 5.
Yeah.
Although what we did see was maybe a little bit of a more passive Steph Curry. And he did rack up the 7 assists, but he only shot 13 times. And so what I was thinking for tonight, and I don't know if you agree with me or if this is going to be the case, but maybe it is a less volume shooting night from Steph Curry, more of a Jimmy Butler night. And so I was kind of cooking together a little same game parlay, Mitch, doing like a Curry points under with a Butler points over.
Yeah, well, I'll say this. I think this could be a game where Golden State can win easily and cover. And if that's the case, he might be under. Now, if it's tight, I think down the stretch, though, they will go to Steph Curry, because I think he'll be much more of a threat and a guy you can really rely on more than Jimmy Butler. On his home court, Steph's been in a lot of huge playoff games. He's been in a lot of huge games anyway. And I think just as the better shooter, he's the guy to go with. Your parlay doesn't sound bad, but don't be surprised if Steph Curry sends the Rockets packing with a big game himself.
Yeah, nothing surprises me when it comes to Steph Curry. Now, moving forward, Mitch, if this is a closeout game tonight, or let's say it goes back to Houston and goes to Game 7, whatever, if the Warriors do advance, and they're favored to do so, obviously, as 5 to 5.5 point favorites tonight, how do you like their chances moving forward here, the way that the Western Conference bracket is taking shape?
I don't like their chances, or let's say the Rockets were to come back and win this series. I think Minnesota is the better team.
Wow.
And I think Minnesota is going to enjoy a big advantage against Golden State like they did against the Lakers in terms of size. That's the one thing about the Warriors. They're undersized. And so when they're going up against Minnesota with Gobert, that's going to be a problem. I also just like the way that Minnesota's playing. And I think for Minnesota, it was a huge step to take, beating the Lakers. They went to the conference finals last year. I know they changed their team. We all know that they, sent Karl Anthony Towns off to the Knicks. They brought in DiVincenzo and Randall. They seem to have come together and really played great team basketball. And I think they've got a full head of steam. And I think they see a path back to the conference finals, whether it's Golden State because they got better size, or if they play the Rockets, it would be experience plus, Anthony Edwards presents a huge matchup problem, I think, for Houston, even though they are a good defensive team with length and athleticism. So I think Minnesota's got a favorable draw here. And that's the same reason people thought, the Lakers might be able to go far. Although some of us thought the Lakers were going to be in trouble in the first round. But the Houston Golden State pairing didn't scare anybody, I don't think, out west.
Yeah, I would agree. And we know that Golden State's going to get, obviously, the public money because of the name recognition. So you could get a good value on betting Minnesota to win that series. Talking to Mitch Lawrence from SiriusXM's NBA Radio and Mad Dog Sports Radio, joining us on the Progressive Guest Line. I'm Scott Seidenberg. This is VSiN Primetime right here on the Sports Betting Network. Speaking of the second round, I was shocked, Mitch, when I saw the odds for the Celtics-Knicks series. Now, I guessed it before before it came out, and I said, Celtics going to be minus 500 or so to win that series. They are minus 800 to win this series.
Yeah.
I think that is just an astronomical price. Now, they're begging me to take the Knicks at plus 550 to plus 600. Right. As a Knicks, growing up a Knicks fan, I've been a Knicks fan my whole life. I can't see them winning 2 games in this series, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
I think this team I think they're run down. I think Brunson is just waiting to get some sort of procedure done on that foot. And frankly, I don't like the creativity on this offense. I know we talked about it off the air. It's an indictment every time they win or lose on Tom Thibodeau. But I think it might be time for a change. What chance do you give the Knicks to give the Celtics any type of fits in this series?
Well, I think they'll give them some fits at points, but in terms of games, I think they'll win 1.
Okay.
2 might be a stretch, and here's the reason why. The Celtics are more talented at just about every position. And think about their games in a regular season. I know you're going to tell me regular season doesn't matter, but just think about the matchups. Is there anything that you see in the game, any facet of the game, that the Knicks do better than the Celtics? Whether it's at the offensive end or the defensive end, whatever.
No.
I don't see anything. the Celtics are the superior team. They basically can beat the Knicks on everything, whether it's at the offensive or defensive end, whether shooting, defense, team play, three-point shooting, big decisions late in games, and they're the defending champion. So that goes a long way. So basically, I think they're just a more talented team. And I think that's why they're the prohibitive favorite. And I think the Knicks, if the Knicks get 2 games off them, that is a great thing. But the Knicks are not built. They cannot. I don't see any way they can win a 7-game series short of Drew Holiday's hamstring acts up. He can't play. And then the Celtics get a significant injury to Tatum and Brown. That's the only way I think the Knicks can get out of this alive. I think they're basically done another year in the second round. Yeah. And we'll see what happens with Tom Thibodeau at that point. I think it'd be unfair to fire him. But the wild card factor here is James Dolan, the owner. We just don't know how he perceives this year in terms of if they come up short against the Celtics, which I think everybody thinks is going to happen.
Yeah, I'm looking at the series total games. Under 5.5 is minus 145. That's a reasonable price. That's not a lot of juice to lay because I agree with you. I think the Knicks only get 1 game, if that, in this series. Yeah. So under 5.5 would be my best bet for the series between the Knicks and the Boston Celtics. The Celtics are the favorite to come out of the East. Everyone is accepting of that. That being said, I know we can't take much away from the first round because the play-in tournament is just absolutely irrelevant. We should get rid of this play-in tournament. There's no reason why OKC and Cleveland had to play those 4 games. It's so stupid because those teams never stood a chance. But that being said, Cleveland looks great. And I think Cleveland has looked great the entire season. Are the Cavs being a little disrespected here in terms of the market because people just assume, or at least the market assumes, the Celtics are going back to the NBA Finals?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, listen, the amazing thing is, as unbelievable, the Celtics are an NBA legendary franchise. They're trying to get their first back-to-back championship since the 60s. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
I mean, that's amazing when you think about how they're regarded in terms of being a marquee franchise, and they are in the NBA history. But that's what's affecting this Cleveland thing because everybody is looking at this as the Celtics having a great chance. They finally, Tatum and Brown finally broke through after that very huge disappointment against Golden State a few years ago in the finals, where they had control of the series and then ended up losing, 3 straight games. And now they're on the verge of having a pretty good road for them to get back to a finals and to win it and to repeat for the first time since 68, 69. That is why people are looking at Cleveland and saying, yeah, this is going to be pretty much of an impossible situation. I don't think it's an impossible situation, but I think the Celtics should be favored, and I think they should be favored whether they get to the finals against Oklahoma City or let's say it's Minnesota this year or somebody else. I just think Boston holds the keys as long as they're healthy and as long as they go to war with all their guys because of that championship. Now they know what it takes to win. They've been through it, and that, I think, always counts a lot. You talk to the Warriors, what that first title meant to that team meant a lot in terms of proceeding to win 3 others, over the course of time.
Great point. Mitch, appreciate the time and the conversation. As always, great to catch up. Enjoy the games, my friend.
Always great, Scott. Enjoyed it. Thanks for having me.
There he is, Mitch Lawrence. Check him out, SiriusXM's NBA Radio and Mad Dog Sports Radio. I'm Scott Seidenberg. We'll update you on what's going on the ice, plus get you our final thoughts and best bets for the Warriors and the Rockets Game 6 coming up next. This is VSiN PrimeTime, right here on the Sports Betting Network.
This is VSiN PrimeTime on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Oh, a scrum in front of the net, and the puck does not go in. Oh, my goodness. Scott Seidenberg back here on VSiN PrimeTime, here on the Sports Betting Network. We got 2 minutes and 22 seconds remaining in the first period. The Blues are on the power play. St. Louis has a 1-0 lead over Winnipeg, so we've already cashed one of our best bets on the Blues to score a goal in the first period. The St. Louis team total over a half a goal in the first period did cash, but we still need one more goal to cash our over 1.5 goals in the first period. A scrum here in front of the net as the Blues are arguing that the puck went in past. I don't know. Oh, wow, this is going to be interesting. I wonder if they're going to review this. The Blues are saying the puck crossed the red line, past Connor Hellebuck. Looking at the replay, here's the overhead angle. Where's the puck, guys? Oh, it's impossible to see. It's impossible to see the puck. I don't know if they're gonna call this a goal. So the puck goes under Connor Hellebuck, and there's a Jets defender that basically sits down in the net and covers the puck and stops it from crossing the red line. They looked at a couple of overhead angles here. You can't see where the puck is. So they resume play here. There's about 20 seconds left on this Blues power play. And again, 2 minutes left in the first period. We are sweating this down to the wire as we need a goal here to cash our over 1.5 goals in the first period, which has cashed in every single game of this series. 5 for 5 here in this series, the over 1.5 goals in the first period. But we are winding down now, about 1:40 left. So let's sweat this out together. The Blues are still on the power play for another 5 seconds, so they're going to have one more rush here up the ice. Let's see if we can get a late goal and cash this over 1.5 in the first period. There is a stoppage here, so there will be a face-off maybe coming out of the zone. I think that was icing that they just called. Real quick, while there is a stoppage here, before we get to this face-off, we do have some news coming up for the Rockets and the Warriors that will tip off in about 20 minutes or so from now. Anthony Slater, who covers the Warriors for The Athletic, tweeted out the Warriors are starting Gary Payton II in place of Brandon Podziemski. And his quote says, "My read, this is about Golden State's Warriors' desire to get Alperen Şengün in Curry screen action. Rockets hid Şengün on Moody, so they put Hield in for Moody. Houston put him on Podziemski, so they put Payton, a Curry screener, in for Podziemski." So that from Anthony Slater from The Athletic. So we'll keep an eye on how that plays out for the Warriors, maybe trying to, like I said, like he says, trying to get Şengün in that screen and roll activity. Maybe that frees up Curry to score some more points. All right, we are into the final minute here. The closing seconds winding down. Jets have the puck in the offensive zone as they will try and get a late goal. We need a goal here from anybody in the next 40 seconds to see if we cash this over 1.5 in the first period. Boy, when we got that goal with about 14 minutes left, I thought for sure that this was going to cash. I mean, I'm happy the read came through, and if we wind up splitting our bets, it's going to be okay because the over 1.5 was an even money bet, so we don't even get vigged out here because we cashed the Blues goal, but we don't cash the over 1.5 at the end here of the first period. Let's see, 15 seconds left, and let's see, it's in the corner. Jets have the puck in the offensive zone. I don't even know if they're going to get a shot off here, as the Blues do take it, and it looks like they will clear. And for the first time this series, it'll be a loss on the first period over 1.5 goals. Now, I will tell you this. With this now being a 1-0 game going into the second period, I will be on a second period over, or I might take a plus money stab, and I did this last night, in the Toronto game, I believe it was, on both teams to score in the second period. So the stats at the end of the first period here is we have the Blues with 8 shots on goal, the Jets just 2 shots on goal. The Blues had 2 power play opportunities. They did not cash in on any of them. And the Jets had 1 power play opportunity, and they did not score. 1 blocked shot for Winnipeg, 4 blocked shots for St. Louis. So the shot numbers not great for the Winnipeg Jets, as we talked about earlier. The quote from their head coach, Scott Arnell, who just said that they want to ugly this game up. They want to muck this game up. Well, the Blues have a 1-0 lead right now. Now, the Jets are playing with a little bit of house money because no one wants to get to a Game 7, but if they do get to a Game 7, they at least have it on their home ice. And who knows, maybe Mark Scheifele will be available to come back and play in that Game 7. They are without Scheifele here in this game. Nikolaj Ehlers is playing, and he does have one shot on goal. So of the two shots for the Winnipeg Jets, one of them by Ehlers, one of them by Kyle Connor. Your shots for the St. Louis Blues, 2 for Jimmy Snudgaard, 1 for Topachenko, 1 for Jake Neighbors, 1 for Bullduk, 1 for Philip Broberg on the goal, and 1 for Ryan Suter. So no shots on goal for Jordan Kyrou, no shots on goal for Robert Thomas or Pavel Buchnevich as well. So those are the guys that we kind of were targeting in the shots prop or the points prop, goal props, whatever it was. So the Blues lead 1-0 after the first period. Your live numbers right now is the Blues at minus 260 for the game. Your live total is at 4.5, minus 175 to the over. But I like doing here in the second period as, let's see, nothing up on DraftKings just yet. The over in the second period is at 1.5. That's what the over is, and it is minus 140. I'm going to check the both teams to score. There's a shop here in town, Stations, that does offer the both teams to score prop. That's what we hit yesterday at the plus 150 price. Usually it's plus 145, plus 150. It is plus 140 for both teams to score in the second period. Let's see if another sportsbook here does offer this price. I want to give you guys as much opportunities to cash this as possible here. All right, let's look at FanDuel. Both teams to score, plus 145. Okay, so now I know that it's widely available, even though DK hasn't posted anything yet, or maybe they don't post this. At least I know that FanDuel has it as well. So those of you out there that do have access to a book like FanDuel, I'm sure Caesars or MGM has it as well, but at least I know that it is widely available out there. We're going to give out both teams to score in the second period at plus 145. Now, this is kind of another way of getting at the over 1.5 goals in the second period. The over 1.5 goals, though, is at minus 140. And yes, one team can score 2 goals. The Jets could come back and take a 2-1 lead. The Blues can go up 3-0. And that's a way that you can cash your over 1.5. It's great. But I'm going to take a shot at some plus money here. At plus 145, I'm going to go ahead and bet both teams to score a goal in the second period. So that is the best bet that we're going to give out right now as we are in the first intermission between the St. Louis Blues and the Winnipeg Jets, with the Blues having a 1-0 lead. We split our best bets that we gave out prior to the game on the first period. We lost the over 1.5 goals for the first time in this series. We lost it. That was at even money, but we did win our St. Louis Blues over 0.5 goal on their team total in the first period. So you split the bets, no vig, because we lose the even money bet. It's a wash. We wipe our hands clean. Now we move on to the second period, where we will go both teams to score a goal at plus 145. We are a few minutes away from tip-off of the Rockets and the Warriors, checking some late movement here in the markets. Let's refresh the page. And we got late money coming in on the Golden State Warriors. I mentioned earlier how this had gotten bet down from 5.5 down to 5. And right now it is back up to 5.5. So that's where we are right now. Warriors minus 5.5, total holding steady at 208. A reminder, this summer, go all in at Circa Las Vegas with the ultimate getaway package, just $400 all in. This is like the best deal you guys are ever going to hear. You get for $400 all in. You get 2 nights here at Circa, a $100 dining credit, a $100 beverage credit, and your very own daybed at Stadium Swim, the greatest place on earth. It's all for just $400 with resort fees and taxes included. This limited time offer is valid for stays between May 26th and September 4th. Don't miss out. Lock in your all-in summer package now at circalasvegas.com. I'm Scott Seidenberg. This is VSiN PrimeTime right here on the Sports Betting Network.